If you want to help rein in the abusive media, go to stopguiltbyaccusationact.com after watching this brief video, download the proposed language for your state, and send it to your state representatives and senators and ask them to draft, introduce, and enact the bill. The Stop Guilt by Accusation Act creates a new tort called defamation in kind. It stops media outlets from acting as slander machines. It puts reasonable restrictions on the press. While the freedom of the press is protected under the Constitution of the United States, the freedom of the press is not absolute. The Stop Guilt by Accusation Act says this: going forward in the state where it's enacted, if a person is accused of a crime, if they're hauled into civil court, if they're brought before a government tribunal of any kind, the media has a fundamental right to report on the case in controversy as alleged. In the case, if the petitioner or plaintiff ends up receiving less relief than they either could have acquired or they were seeking, within 20 days after the verdict is rendered, if the accused individual, the defendant, provides an affidavit to the media outlet that did the original reporting on the case in controversy, the media outlet then has 10 days to do a follow-up publication in the same time, place, manner, scale, and magnitude of the original publication. So, for example, if a media outlet presented a case in controversy on the front page of the newspaper and the accused person was acquitted, the media outlet would then probably have to do a follow-up report on the front page of the newspaper. It couldn't be buried down in page 19 in small print. If a media outlet that receives the notification fails to timely publish the actual outcome of the case in controversy, then the accused person can file a civil lawsuit in state court against the media outlet, where they can seek $10,000 in statutory damages, plus attorney fees and costs and other forms of actual damages. The goal here is to create truth in reporting. Media outlets that do selective reporting can absolutely cast an individual into a false light and erode fundamental civil liberties. Media outlets profiteer off of false allegations all the time. In fact, it's really an exploitative practice. As has been demonstrated on a national level, the nation got to witness President Trump being subjected to a frivolous impeachment trial that substantially lacked probable cause and was motivated by political animus. Perhaps even more compelling and outrageous was the malicious prosecution and abusive process that the Honorable Justice Brett Kavanaugh was subjected to, following the politically driven and salacious accusations of accusers who disagree with him for religious and political reasons. The growing trend throughout the country is that there's an incentive for individuals, including prosecutors, to bring frivolous cases that lack probable cause against someone they do not like for religious or political reasons. Media outlets then will report on the case in controversy as if it's true to create a false narrative that erodes fundamental civil liberty interests for profit. The framers of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution never envisioned a situation where media outlets were permitted to engage in such overtly abusive tactics with absolute impunity. And while yes, this bill will serve to protect public figures who are regularly subjected to fake, frivolous, and phony civil and criminal trials as a result of disagreements over politics, and while yes, people like myself have been subjected to all kinds of phony civil and criminal cases for political and religious reasons, the bottom line is that this is a bipartisan bill. The true motivation behind this bill is it was written to promote criminal justice reform. For example, take a situation where an African-American 19-year-old male is accused of rape, murder, and mayhem, and the media outlet then reports widely on the case in controversy because it's salacious and they find it to be newsworthy. Let's say in the situation that the suspect is acquitted, and because the media outlet does not find it politically expedient or newsworthy to do a follow-up reporting, they fail to do so. Then this poor African-American male is left having to go around and try to defend himself from something that was a fiction to begin with. That individual might have substantial difficulty getting a job. He might be avoided and shunned by the public in general. So this bill is crafted to stop tyranny by the media. The reason why I have a $10,000 statutory damage amount in the bill is because sometimes it's difficult to prove actual damages, so at least an accused individual could seek the $10,000 plus other forms of relief as well. The reason that we include in the bill that if the plaintiff in the case prevails, he can seek attorney's fees and costs is because of what's called the American rule. The American rule is a common jurisprudence that says that a prevailing party in a lawsuit can only recover attorney's fees from the other party if there's a statute that would permit such an occurrence. So this bill will incentivize local lawyers to take on cases like this to help hold the media accountable. This bill will actually serve to help the media because it will promote character and integrity. There are countless members of the media who literally get off on just destroying people. It's like a drug for them, and it's flagrantly immoral and unjust. And while the freedom of the press is very important, we need them to serve as a watchdog. The freedom of the press is not absolute, and they should not be allowed to go around and destroy people's lives with impunity. States have a compelling interest to make sure the citizens within their jurisdiction are not wrongfully liable, slander, defame, or cast in a false light. The reason it's important that this bill be enacted is because it will protect the integrity of our judicial system. The bill will cut down on malicious prosecution and abusive process and cause prosecutors to think twice before overcharging an individual. Therefore, this bill takes away an imperialistic power play that has been absolutely toxic to our society and democracy writ large. charge. There are all kinds of exceptions in the bill. If the accused individual is convicted of what he's accused of, he would not have standing to enforce the act. If a media outlet doesn't report on a case in controversy, they're not subject to the act. If the accused individual fails to timely provide the affidavit to the media outlet that did the original reporting, then the court would lack subject matter jurisdiction to enforce the bill. We implore you to download the language of this bill for your state, which can be found at stopguiltbyaccusationact.com, and email it to your representative, senator, and governor. Implore them to enact this bill for your state. We encourage you to especially lean on members of the Judiciary Committee. By helping us make this bill become law in your state, you will be strengthening your community, your state, and the nation as a whole.